difficulties that will be being faced by these youngsters, those still trapped inside that cave in Thailand, and indeed those who are now being assessed as we speak by medics in a hospital an hour or so away from the complex cave network. Carole Lieberman is a psychiatrist joining me now from New York. And briefly, just before we sort of move on, your reaction to what we've heard to date. 4 of these kids out, 8 left inside this cave complex, along with their coach. What are your thoughts as you hear this news?
Well, I know it's not for certain that the 4 who came out first were the healthiest. That is some of the reports. If that's true, then on the one hand, you know, and they made it, of course, which is on the one hand is going to be great for those who are left behind in terms of their morale. They're going to think that if their teammates were able to do it, they can do it too. But on the other hand, if those who are left inside are not as strong psychologically or physically, then being exposed to the elements of being trapped in the cave obviously will keep taking its toll on them. You know, the oxygen, for example, is a big problem because low oxygen concentrations has an effect on both physically, you know, especially on the heart and the lungs, and psychologically. It makes people be less alert, and it decreases their mood. And some people describe it as being drunk. So these are all things that will make it harder for them to come out, not to mention if the water goes higher and there are going to be more places where they have to actually use their mask and scuba dive, not just walk.
Sure. There are 8 kids and their coach left in this complex. 4, like a miracle being performed, are now at a local hospital. If you were the child psychiatrist on admission, what would the process be for you with these 4 youngsters who've now been admitted?
Well, mainly it would be to get them to finally express their feelings, their fears, all the things that they've been holding in because, you know, they've been trying to act brave, or the coach has been trying to pump them up and so on to make them feel like they can do it, they can escape. But, you know, now they need a chance to actually, you know, sort of exhale, waiting to exhale, and talk about what it was really like for them in there. So it's more like letting them express themselves finally, you know, and reassuring them that they're safe and so on.
At any age, of course, being kept far away from your mum or dad or your family members is difficult. It hurts. Now, though, these boys are amazingly putting on a brave face, or certainly have been in the letters to their families. My team here taking a little time to share them with you, viewers. Have a look and listen to this.
Love you, Mum and Dad. Don't worry, I'm safe already. Love to everybody.
Mom, are you okay at home? Stay at home. I'm okay. Please tell my teacher too.
I'm fine, but the weather is quite cold. But don't worry. But don't forget my birthday.
I'm okay. Don't worry. I love Dad and Mum and everybody.
I've just disappeared for only 2 weeks. I will go back and help Mom to sell every time I have a free day. I will rush to go back.
Now don't worry about us anymore. I miss everybody. I really need to go back home.
If I can get out, Mom, Dad, take me to eat pork on a hot plate.
Don't worry. I miss everybody. Grandfather, Auntie, Mom, Dad, and brothers. I love everybody.
I love Mom and Dad. Don't worry about me. I love everybody.
I love Mum and Dad very much. Don't worry about it. I can take care of myself.
Well, those the voices of some of my team voicing what are letters that were written by these brave young boys that the divers have had brought out for the benefit of these families that are just waiting to see their little fellas again. It does seem absolutely remarkable. They sort of sound stoic, don't they, at this point? Well, what did you think when you heard their words?
Yes, there's a whole mixture of things. You know, of course, it's really sweet that they are more concerned for their families than for themselves and concerned with reassuring their families. You know, I think some of it might be also that they feel a little guilty and ashamed that they got themselves into this kind of circumstance to begin with. Like the parents wrote things, don't worry, we're not mad at you. They wrote to the coach, you know, we don't blame you. So everybody's trying to reassure everybody else, which is really good. To some degree, it might be that some of the kids are a little bit in denial or magical thinking that they are safe. You know, that was part of part of this is that when they first saw the two men who rescued them or came first, they felt like, oh, wow, now we're saved. They didn't realize at those very first moments that there was going to be all of this difficulty to overcome. And that was something that they had to then digest. But, you know, yes, I think it's very helpful that they had that communication. That does wonders, because to the extent that they have to wear scuba masks and actually have to scuba dive to get out, the most dangerous thing is for them to be anxious or to panic and to use up too much oxygen, you know, in their anxiety and panic, or to try to remove the mask, because oftentimes divers feel claustrophobic and they feel I can't breathe, and they think that the thing that they should do is to remove their mask, which of course is the absolute wrong thing to do. So all of this communication was incredibly helpful towards making them stronger psychologically to get out.
Sure. Now, we're looking at images of these kids in this cave complex as you speak, Carole, and our viewers will notice that most of them, if not all of them, have got football shirts on. Now, just days before getting lost in this cave, these kids were playing football together. The boys love the game, and they've been asking the divers about the World Cup competition that's going on. They've been asking non-stop. Little do they know, perhaps, at this point that they have now been invited to the finals by FIFA, and let's just hope that final is on Sunday. It would be wonderful if they were all out and able to attend, perhaps a little bit optimistic at this stage. But, you know, it's fascinating, isn't it? And you, as a child psychiatrist, I just wonder how you feel about this sense that, you know, we know they talked about when they were first found being hungry and wanting something to eat and what it is that they wanted to eat. The fact that they're thinking and they can, you know, entertain themselves, as it were, thinking about the World Cup competition that's going on, it seems to be keeping them together, seems to be keeping their minds occupied. Yes, yes, absolutely. Again, you know, I think that that's probably due to the coach and the rescuers and so on who have been in there and trying to help them keep that positive frame of mind. You know, one thing that you sort of alluded to is, I mean, yes, wouldn't it be wonderful for the world, not just for the children and for their families, if we saw them at the World Cup, like if they were healthy enough to finally to make it to the World Cup. But, you know, also there's the other side of that. I mean, it is going to be devastating for the world if they all don't get out. You know, I mean, it's great that we have 4 and we know that, and we can be fairly sure that they're going to be okay because now they're, you know, being treated and so on. But there's going to be an impact on people who are watching this all over the world, because we each kind of identify with them. You know, we may feel trapped in different ways in our own lives and want to be rescued. So hopefully they will all get out, and that would be just glorious to see them at the World Cup. Wonderful. All right. Well, we absolutely share your thoughts. Your analysis and insight is incredibly important to us. Carole, thank you. Carole Lieberman is a psychiatrist talking to us today from New York. Stay with us, viewers. We will